is the NBA on NBC. The 1999 NBA playoffs. Today, it's the Portland Trail Blazers versus the San Antonio Spurs.
Another crowd in excess of 35,000 will file into the Alamo Dome today to watch their Spurs, the league's best team since the season's first month. Winners of 39 of their last 45, 8-1 in the playoffs, hosting Portland in Game 2. The Twin Towers had nearly twin stats in Game 1, 21-10 for the Admiral, 21-13 for last year's Rookie of the Year, this year's MVP candidate, Tim Duncan. Rasheed Wallace had 28 points in the opener, but missed the jumper that could have sent the game to overtime with 5 seconds to play. And the normally effective Arvydas Sabonis was anything but effective in Game 1 as the Blazers lost by 4. Hello again, everybody. With Doug Collins, I'm Bob Costas. Let's talk about Robinson and Duncan, the natural place to start when the subject is the San Antonio Spurs.
Bob, these two guys are playing so well together on both ends of the floor. They're both excellent passers, and when they see a matchup they like, they go to it. This is when David Robinson goes the high-low pass to Tim Duncan. They like the next matchup with Robinson in the post, so Duncan becomes the passer. He goes high-low, and Robinson gets the score inside. And then Avery Johnson, with great penetration, finds David Robinson. And it's almost scary when you look at the stats from Game 1 and compare them to what their season series was against the Blazers. It's almost identical. The points, the rebounds, the assists, the blocks, they're all there. And the ever-changing role of David Robinson. In the Lakers series, he was a defender against Shaq. In this series, they love the matchup against Sabonis. He is scoring and doing it well. Bob?
Sabonis, nearly immobile at this stage of his career, simply can't cover Robinson, who's averaged 24 points a game the last 4 times these teams have met. All victories for San Antonio. Now, for the Trailblazers, this will be their 8th game in their last 14 days. 5 of them on the road. Even for a team as deep as Portland, is this a factor?
You know, Bob, I don't believe so. I think the factor was they saw Tim Duncan and David Robinson, and they didn't aggressively attack the basket. They lived at the free throw line in the first 2 playoff series, 36 free throw attempts a game. In Game 1, only 9. They only forced 6 and 8 turnovers, 2 steals. And you see the points off turnovers and fast breaks. They got no easy baskets. They've got to do that today. And then they need Arvydas Sabonis. He is their best passing big man, their best shooting big man. If he will step out on the floor and make some shots, it will open things up for his teammates. Bob?
Tip-off looming, Alamo Dome rocking. We check with Ahmad Rashad.
All right, thanks, Bob. I spent some time in the Trailblazer locker room. They are fired up and ready to play. I talked to Isaiah Ryder about all this optimism, and he said the reason that we're so confident is that we didn't play very well in Game 1, but we still had a chance to win it. Now, I talked to Mike Dunleavy, and he said the very same things that Doug Collins just said, that the areas of improvement that they expect today is be more aggressive and play with more energy. Bob?
Well, you two guys see it the same way. You could swap places. He could come over and call a game. You could go over there and coach. Let's see who's where when we come back with the starting lineups and the tip-off for Game 2 after this. Tip-off moments away. Here's Portland's lineup for Game 2. Wallace, Sabonis, and Grant up front. Grant started the playoffs hot. In fact, the first 3 games against Utah in round 2, he averaged better than 19 a game. Since then, in 4 games, only about 7.5. Ryder and Stoudemire have not been themselves of late in terms of their scoring output for Mike Dunleavy's squad. Elliot, Robinson, and Duncan up front. Elliot sometimes gets forgotten with all the focus being on Robinson and Duncan. He had 13 in the first game. Johnson and Ellie in the backcourt. Greg Popovich, who has done a terrific job as their head coach this year. We've mentioned several times that things started in a stormy fashion. They were just 6 and 8. But they pulled it together since then to go 39 and 6, regular season and playoffs combined. The temperature outside in San Antonio is approaching 100 degrees. Atmosphere is hot indoors, too, for Game 2. Stoudemire brings it to the front court for Portland. Into Sabonis, guarded by Robinson. Sabonis misses the jumper. Grant chases the rebound down. Finds Ryder in traffic. Now here's Wallace, who's ditched the cornrows for game 2. Fashion statement. Shot off. Grant again is there. And Grant finally does it himself.
You could see the great energy on that possession by Portland. 2 offensive rebounds, and Stoudemire, a great pass to Brian Grant. Brian Grant, that's the easiest pass that he's got since he left Utah.
Mario Elie with the set shot. Way off with the 3, and his shooting woes continue.
But when we talk about Brian Grant, I think in this series he's not going to be able to post up as much as he did against Utah because of the size factor. I think he can make that medium range 15, 16-foot jump shot.
Sabonis out high into Ryder. Sabonis thought about it, whips it behind his back to Wallace. 5 on the 24. Rasheed Wallace looking for Sabonis. 2 seconds to shoot. The sweeping hook isn't good. And it's out of bounds with Portland keeping it.
This is that energy we talked about Portland. The athleticism, the second shots. This is what has bothered Greg Popovich when he talked about this matchup. San Antonio must defensive rebound the ball.
I don't know what it is, but there's a smoky, hazy atmosphere in the Alamo Dome. Has the feel of an old-time NBA game. Syracuse Nats against the Rochester Royals or something in an armory someplace. Steal by Stoudemire, and he cans the jumper.
See, that's how he gets involved. We talked it in the opening. Isaiah talked about it. He's an open court player. That was an open court play. A great steal. He turned around and hit the jump shot.
Sean Elliott with daylight and knows what to do with it.
So important to get dribble penetration when you play against good defensive teams because they're taught to track the ball. And everybody comes in and you can kick it out, and then you must make those outside jump shots.
Blazers lead it 4-3, and there's a whistle. The officials are Ron Garretson, Bob Delaney, and Danny Crawford.
Now remember, only 2 steals the entire game 1. Stoudemire runs in behind Mario Elie, and then he pulls up and shoots the little jump shot in rhythm. Those are the kind of plays that will get him going.
Illegal defense was called on San Antonio. Trailblazers put it in from the side. Grant from Wallace.
Now, why did he score in there? They had a switch. That time they go inside because Mario Elie is playing against him. So anytime they see the mismatch, that's when Brian Grant can post.
Elliot again. A second consecutive 3 ties the game at 6.
See, Rasheed Wallace that time started to rotate up off of Elliot to take the first pass away. Avery Johnson, he left Elliot for a 3.
Elliott now trying to guard Wallace. Out high to Ryder. Sabonis in the paint. And he'll be coming to the line. He went down hard.
Here's the double team that's going to come in. Here's Sean Elliott, and you're going to see Rasheed Wallace out of the double team start to rotate up. He's down the bottom. He can't get to Avery Johnson, and then no one can get to Sean Elliott. I think you have to make Avery Johnson make that jumper and not let Sean Elliott get started. Remember, he had 8 quick points in game 1.
Sabonis taking a while to gather himself. We're told that the haze, which you may even be able to pick up at home on your TV screens, is from the pregame pyrotechnics. It's just kind of fading away now. They put on a fireworks display as the Spurs lineup was introduced.
Well, we know Sabonis has bad knees, a bad Achilles, and he got banged on that possession. And you know what the referees are doing right now? They're acting like they're cleaning up the floor, and they're giving him a chance to recover. That's good officiating. You don't make him take a timeout in this situation. You clean up the floor, and Sabonis is getting himself here together. And, Bob, we talked about his numbers. In the regular season, he was their leading scorer. Very few turnovers. He really struggled in game 1, and he's a guy who has to have the legs. Without the legs, his shot is short, and he has no matchup for David Robinson.
He got the bounce on the free throw. He's at nearly 90% in the playoffs from the line. 29 of 33, counting that last one. After 3 minutes, the Blazers lead at 8-6. Johnson on the move. Swatted away by Grant. Stoudemire circles back out. Grant from Sabonis, looking to score early and doing so.
Well, so much for that theory that he's not going to be able to post up. That time, he goes against Tim Duncan inside, so you already see the aggressiveness, the ability for the Blazers to get the ball in the lane. Bob, we did not see this in Game 1. This is a totally different team we're seeing right now. The great block by Brian Grant from the weak side on Avery Johnson. The Spurs wanted goaltending. That ball was still going up. And then on the other floor, end of the floor, he gets deep post position against Tim Duncan, who's a terrific defender. And what I talked about, who's their best passing big man, Sabonis finds him inside. The beautiful left-hand shot, and Brian Grant's off to a terrific start. Brian Grant through the playoffs has become such an important part of this Portland team. He went head-to-head with Karl Malone, didn't give him an inch, and today, a great start. Here's the easy basket that he gets off the feed from Stoudemire. The mismatch inside with Elliot playing him. He scores in the lane, comes over in weak side defense and gets the block shot, and then goes down at the other end, deep post position. Nice pass from Sabonis, a left hand in the finish. And Brian Grant, who struggled against the sides of the Spurs in the regular season, only 7.5 points, 35%. Rest of the league, you saw how well he did today, off to a great start. 3 of 3 with 6 points.
Here's Avery Johnson finding Robinson, who drives to the basket and just leaves Sabonis in his wake. He just blew right past him.
Well, somebody from the weak side has got to step up and help, and he's got to give him a little space. He tried to close out too quick, and David, with that quick step, just burnt him.
Knowing that they have the matchup, they've gone to Robinson much more than against other teams. He shot 16 times in Game 1. Here's Sabonis, up and under, nowhere near, and the ball out of bounds to San Antonio. Prior to Game 1 of this series, David Robinson had averaged only 9 shots a game in the first 2 playoff series against Minnesota and the Lakers. He took 16 when the matchup favored him against Sabonis.
Key word there, Bob, is matchups. That's what you do as a team. You go to the matchup that works well, and every series it changes. And with David Robinson, they need him to score.
Grant picks up the foul. It's his first. Robinson again against Sabonis. Cross court to Elliot. A whistle for an illegal defense. Each team has been hit with a warning already. Two of San Antonio's 3 field goals are 3-pointers, both by Elliot. They hit only 1 3 in the entire game in the opener. A whistle as Robinson made his move. The foul is on Sabonis.
See, what I like there is the play worked once, and you don't go away from it. You come back to it again, and you get the foul on Sabonis. That's good basketball. Make them stop it.
Spurs looking to tie with a basket here. Into Duncan. Jumper over Grant to even the issue at 10.
Well, Brian Grant is upset at himself because he let him just punch in the lane. You've got to fight that post up and take that position away.
Backing in is Wallace. Almost lost it. Sabonis picks it up. Stoudemire thought about a 3, gives it up to Sabonis. His pass finds Ryder. Terrific pass, and it could be a 3-point play.
See, that's why they need this guy on the floor. He's such a terrific passer, and he brings David Robinson out on the floor. Now he creates space so your other people can post up. He gets a shot blocker out of the lane. There it is, the nice back cut, and Sabonis. What a beautiful pass.
The foul was Mario Ely's second. So Ellie goes out with the 2 fouls. replaced by Jaren Jackson. Always an emotional player, and Ellie shows it there. Ryder's shooting from the field has been off the past few games, although 6 for 14, not bad in game 1. Where he's really racked up the points has been at the free throw line.
You see, with Rasheed Wallace playing so well in game 1, he didn't get the post touches that he got against Utah. He had a great matchup there against Hornacek that they really went to.
Duncan cross court to Avery Johnson, who can't hit it. Stoudemire working on Johnson, finding Sabonis for a long one. A step inside the three-point line. He swishes it after missing his first 3 field goal attempts.
So now you've seen his passing and you've seen his shooting. That's what he brings to this team. That's why he's so vital to their success.
Blazers by 5. Johnson can't cut it to 3, and Wallace has it. Sabonis drives on Robinson, off-balance shot, gets his own rebound, second try is there. And there's a foul.
His legs must be feeling well today. We've seen him roll out here and shoot the open jump shot. Again, David Robinson helping against Stoudemire, and Sabonis steps back and shoots it. And this isn't pretty, but it's effective. He drives in there and he shoots the basketball. I thought he overshot the basket, didn't hit anything. I think that's a violation. If it doesn't hit anything, he does get the catch and the finish and the score. But if you shoot an air ball and you catch your own miss, Bob, that's a violation. He must have ruled that it hit something or it was blocked.
In effect, a pass to yourself.
Exactly.
If you don't draw iron. Portland's on an 8-0 run, and David Robinson is, for the moment, on the bench. Will Perdue is in. Elliot. Sabonis has the rebound. Rasheed Wallace on the drive. Hits nothing, and Duncan takes it on the other side of the hoop. Jaren Jackson pulls up. And little Stoudemire at 5'10" pulls in the rebound. Sabonis. Ryder takes it down. Here's Wallace. Lots of energy for the Trailblazers. Eight on the shot clock. A sweeping hook by Wallace is no good, but there was a foul. It's number 1 on Duncan.
Bob, you have to help me here now. Did he catch his own miss? Does this hit anything? Or did he overshoot the basket?
It hit the backboard.
When he shot it initially, we had the angle you couldn't tell. So that's a good call by the officials.
Wallace will shoot 2 here. And after the second one, Portland will have taken 6 free throws. I mention that because they tried only 9 in all of game 1 after averaging around 35-36 in the Utah series.
Well, you can see in the game 1, the stats were it was really Rasheed Wallace and nobody else for the Blazers. And they're a deep, talented team that counts on balance. You're already seeing more balance in their attack today.
1 of 2 for Wallace. His first point after scoring 28 in game 1. Duncan turns on Grant, and coming over to block it is Sabonis.
You know what you can see in Sabonis already? You can see in the competitiveness as Isaiah Ryder is holding his right knee. But you can see the competitive spirit in Sabonis. He knows he did not play well in game 1, and he's come out here with a flurry to start this game today.
Portland's on a 9-0 run. Definitely some extra bounce in Sabonis' step. They lead it 19-10. Timeout with 4:39 to play in the first.
Isaiah Ryder is right here, and we'll take a look to see what happens. He fights up through this screen, and I don't know whether he banged his knee or just twisted his knee. And in the first round matchup against Phoenix, Tom Gugliotta fell against his leg, and he wasn't right for about 2 games, so we'll have to check to see if it's the same injury.
Let's check with Ahmad.
All right, Bob, it is the same knee that Isaiah Ryder hurt earlier. He went over to the bench and said that he felt like it was locking up. They had him jump and do a couple of exercises, but as you can see, he is still in the game and obviously able to continue. Bob?
That's tape made during the timeout, jumping up and down, trying to loosen it up. Portland ball, and they're up by 9. Stoudemire makes it 11. How important is this game for Portland? If they go out of here 0-2, they're faced with having to win 4 out of 5 against a team that hasn't lost 2 in a row since February 28th. Portland on an 11-0 run right now to lead by 11. Duncan stepped out of bounds.
The energy, the hustle stats in game 1. They went all to the Spurs. Look today, they're going to the Blazers. They're playing as a more determined team right now. Remember now, the Blazers lost game 1 against Utah and bounced back, so they have done well after losses to bounce back.
And look who's in the game for San Antonio, the long missing Steve Kerr. He gets the ball from Robinson after David stole it. Duncan runs the lane and slams it home.
He's going to the experience of Steve Kerr. Antonio Daniels has struggled, and he feels like maybe Kerr can make some shots and give this team some confidence right now.
Stoudemire, though, tries to take advantage of his greater quickness, but is hit with the offensive foul as he sends Kerr tumbling. But you can see what Stoudemire was thinking right away. I can outquick this guy. I'll take it to him.
Steve Kerr's got his head up. Now, he's not going to beat you with speed, but he makes the right pass to Duncan, and that's the relentless running that we talked about with Tim Duncan. And he's a sneaky quick player. He played the left side, the left hand of Stoudemire. He cuts him off, and he gets the foul.
Here's Ahmad with more on Steve Kerr.
All right, thanks, Bob. I was talking to Avery Johnson about during this 5-day layoff, and I was asking what they did to try to stay right. He said, you know, one of the guys that was the biggest contributor was Steve Kerr. He said, we all went to Steve Kerr, found out what the Bulls did in that same situation. We practiced like the Bulls. Steve Kerr is the guy they go to find out what kind of mindset the Bulls had, and Avery says he talks to Steve, finds out what Michael would have said, and tries to do the same thing with this team. So Steve Kerr has contributed, even though he hasn't played. Now that he's playing, hoping to contribute more. Bob?
Ahmad, thanks. Here's Robinson dealing out to Jackson. His line drive 3 is no good. He saves it in, though, to Kerr. Great play by Jackson in front of his own bench. Sean Elliott looking for Kerr. Batted away. Kerr fires. He's now 0 for 8 in the playoffs. He hasn't made a playoff basket yet. 0 for 7 against the Timberwolves. Didn't play at all in the Lakers series or in game 1 of this series. Grant got it.
What the confidence that Brian Grant has today. That time posting David Robinson. So making me eat my words. I said he was going to have to make open jumpers. He said, I'm going to post Duncan and Robinson today. Bring them both on.
How about this? 23-12. Kerr with Anthony on him. Robinson around Grant. And he was fouled. Well, Sabonis isn't quick enough and Grant isn't big enough.
Very good call. The matchup here, David Robinson's size. He's got that quick spin, and then it helps him there. He's a lefty, so instead of his right hand being out of bounds there, he comes back with his left hand. And as a defender, you have to remember that when you're playing that side of the floor against him. Now, Kelvin Cato is checking into the game right now for Brian Grant. And when he comes into the game, they like to press. They like to get up the floor. He's the second leading shot blocker on their team. So look for them to extend the defense and trap with Greg Anthony and now Stacey Augmon and Cato on the floor.
Here's Rasheed Wallace, quiet to this point. Cato, Augmon, and a foul. It's number 1 on Robinson, and we'll bring Augmon to the line. While you're watching the game, you can log on to NBA.com for complete in-game stats and shot charts. On Thursday, June 3rd, you can talk with the Knicks' Marcus Camby. It's all at NBA.com, your ultimate online resource for the NBA playoffs.
Bob, you know, we talked about the aggressiveness of the Blazers. You know, we talked about could it be a fatigue factor with the number of games they've played and all. I think sometimes when you play against the big shot blockers, you don't challenge them. Go in there, they'll block a couple, but maybe you'll get some fouls. That time, Stacey Augmon gets the foul on Robinson, and you see right now they're going to come up the floor and press a little bit.
Augmon's 2 free throws make it an 11-point game again at 25-14.
With Kerr in the game, Jackson will handle the ball, so Kerr doesn't have to handle it against Anthony.
Sean Elliott. Augmon's on him. Duncan. And there was a foul. It's on Kelvin Cato, whose minutes in the playoffs have been down. He's been bothered by a bad back. This is his first appearance of this series. Still an 11-point deficit.
Tim Duncan, the season numbers, and as the rounds have gone on the field goal attempts, you see during the season, the first round, and then against the Lakers, they love the matchup against him against J.R. Ryder. J.R. Reed. They went to that, and Tim Duncan was amazing in that series.
Duncan, who shot free throws very well against the Lakers, is 5 for 11 so far in about 5 quarters of this series against Portland, missing them both here. Ryder to the left hand, but it's blocked. Stolen away by Augmon, who goes to the hole and scores. Now, Augmon was a consistent 13, 14, 15-point-a-game scorer when he was with the Hawks. He's got a different role now with Portland.
And see, David Robinson made a mistake there. He's falling out of bounds and tried to save the ball underneath Portland's basket. If you're going to do that, you got to throw it to the other end of the floor.
Robinson trying to atone on the offensive end, but loses it again. Here comes Anthony, takes it all away. And used the forearm to try to clear himself some room, and is hit with the offensive foul.
David Robinson makes a great block on Isaiah Ryder. The ball is going out of bounds, and when you throw it back in, you better know that you're throwing it to your guy or throw it to the other end. He doesn't, and Stacey Augmon gets the score.
Portland a 17-4 run right now. Duncan, and he was fouled, says Danny Crawford. It's number 1 on Wallace.
Tim Duncan is so good at being able to square up, see the defense, and then change to his right hand as he slides by. Rasheed Wallace did not like the call, but 2 free throws, and that's what you have to do when you're struggling to score from the field. You've got to keep getting to the free throw line.
That one rattles in, doesn't have his free throw stroke just yet.
Well, the free throws, the more he's taken, the better he's gotten, except in this round, you see that he's down to 56%. And, you know, Greg Popovich told us before the playoffs started, one of his major concerns were Tim Duncan and David Robinson shooting free throws at the end of the game. During the regular season, they both shot under 70%.
Duncan gets them both. Sean Elliott has gone out. Jerome Kersey is in for San Antonio. Last minute of the quarter. Wallace from 20. That's his first field goal. He scored 3 points in this first quarter. Here's Kerr. Out to Kersey. Kerr from the baseline. And the tip for Kersey on the follow.
Well, Greg Popovich is looking for some energy to match against Portland right now, and Jerome Kersey is an energy player. Nice tip in there.
Wallace, another jumper. Same result, 2 in a row.
How good is that? 6'11", you come off a screen twice, you fade, you hit a jumper, then you put it on the floor and pull up and hit one.
A 13-point lead. Final seconds of the quarter. Inside to Duncan, who makes sure.
Bob, we're seeing some great basketball here, some great plays in this first period.
Wallace from half court at the buzzer. And the Blazers take an 11-point lead after the first 12 minutes. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
The pick and roll has been good to the Blazers, and I'll show you what's happening here. Steve Kerr knows he's a lefty, so as this play starts to develop, he's going to try to jump to this side of the screen and send him to David Robinson. Wallace sees it and just rolls out, and Greg Anthony's going to find him with a pass. So you see, not to get screened, he jumps. He forced him to David Robinson, who helps, and Rasheed Wallace, we've talked about his ability to shoot the basketball. He hits that one. He comes down the next possession. They run it again. This time, David closes. And how about Rasheed Wallace, the big power dribble, the pull-up, and the jump shot and the score. That's just good offense.
The Trailblazers held to 76 points in Game 1. Throw 31 on the board in the first quarter of Game 2, and they out-rebounded the Spurs 13-5 in the first quarter.
Well, they were the aggressors, and more importantly, the balance. That's what Portland is all about. They're a balanced, deep team. And in Game 1, Rasheed Wallace carried him when they tried to steal that win when others were struggling. Today, more people are involved.
Jaren Jackson, guarded by Jim Jackson of Portland. Steve Kerr trying to shake the rust off. Looks for Duncan. Back to Kerr out of the corner. 3 seconds to shoot. Jackson left alone. Couldn't hit it. Robinson to follow. Got it.
Coaches always talk about limit second shots, because they're so deadly to you. You play great defense and then you give them those two.
Jackson on Jackson. They work the ball around to Cato, who misses from the side. Stacey Augmon on the drive.
Second shot, score.
A little bit of pressure in the backcourt from Portland. Jackson gets it across with the flip to Kerr. The lob for Duncan from Robinson, a bit too tall. Which is saying something when the target is 7 feet. Ryan Grant, 6 on the shot clock. Over Duncan. Air ball. Grabbed by a hustling Cato. I don't think that hit the rim, and they got a fresh 24, and now Anthony hits the 3, and Kerr is arguing the point with Danny Crawford. It's 36-22, the Blazers by 14, but Portland may have gotten the gift here unless that somehow nicked the rim and we didn't see it.
Well, that's what Steve Kerr is talking to Danny Crawford about. It was right here in front of us. I think Danny Crawford said that ball skimmed the rim as it went over the backside. We'll have to check. Got a great view here. Let's see, Bob, if we can see what happened. Well,
I don't know.
Break and get a different look here. This ball. That is really close.
In any case, they got a fresh 24, and Anthony drained the 3. During the timeout, one of the officials, Bob Delaney, gave us his interpretation of the play. Grant will, in fact, shoot an air ball. They are not saying the ball hit the rim. They are saying that David Robinson had possession of the ball, and it really doesn't look that way on the replay. It looks like the ball was slapped away from him right away. But they say that he had the ball long enough to establish possession for San Antonio, and thus it became a steal for Portland and a fresh 24. But I'd question it.
Now, Portland got a real break there, but again, they're hustling after those loose balls. David sort of casually went after that one. Cato went after it a little bit harder, and it gave 3 points to Greg Anthony. And that's right now the difference in the game, Bob. We talked about the energy to hustle. Right now, that belongs to Portland.
Look at that disparity in backcourt scoring. 16-zip. Avery, Ellie, Jaren Jackson, and Steve Kerr are a combined 0 for 9 from the field so far for the Spurs. Meanwhile, Brian Grant picks up his 3rd foul for Portland, bringing Rasheed Wallace quickly back off the bench.
You know, what's been talked about so much when you play San Antonio is that you got to get the hands out of the big man, the ball out of the big man's hands and force other people to beat you. Today, the guards and the perimeter players are not making shots. This time, it's an offensive foul.
And it's on the former Blazer, Jerome Kersey. Kersey spent the first 11 years of his career in Portland. The Spurs are his 4th team in the last 4 years. Rasheed Wallace guarded by Malik Rose. Baseline fadeaway, got the bounce, and they lead by 16.
That's a tough matchup for Malik Rose. There's no way that he can handle Rasheed Wallace down on that block. If you double team, now you have to worry about Walt Williams and Anthony Jackson shooting the jump shots.
Johnson out to Kersey on the drive, knocked away. Here comes Anthony racing with Avery Johnson, who wraps him up.
Rasheed Wallace has got the post-up position here. Sometimes he wants to go too quickly. This time he takes his time, gets himself in balance, said I've got a smaller player on me, get myself in rhythm, and take the shot.
Anthony to the line. Hitting the first of 2. Tonight at 9, 8 Central on NBC. Gulf War soldiers served with honor. But when some of them got sick, the government turned its back on them, based on the true story of the men who wouldn't let those heroes be forgotten. Thanks of a Grateful Nation tonight at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on NBC. 1 of 2 for Anthony. The rebound to Kersey.
You look at the team that San Antonio has on the floor right now. Really only one primary scorer, David Robinson. Portland should really go after him right now and make him pass it.
It's Kersey giving it back to Robinson. He was bumped, and there's a whistle. It's on Rasheed Wallace, his 2nd, as Duncan checks back in, along with Mario Ellie, Jaren Jackson, and Jerome Kersey. Well, I thought Kersey was going out, but he's going to put the ball in play. Here's Robinson. Wallace gets a hand on it, and it bounces to Anthony. Wallace guarded by Duncan. Takes him into the paint and misses over him. Jerome Kersey out high, drives to the bucket, and is fouled.
Greg Popovich right now is desperately searching for a combination that can get some offense. The Portland defense has been swarming them. They're getting hands, deflections, steals, something we didn't see in game 1, and he's trying to find something that will work right now.
Foul was on Greg Anthony, his 2nd. No luck on the free throw for Kersey. Popovich has his starters, Ellie and Johnson, in the backcourt. He's got the Twin Towers, Robinson and Duncan out there, and Kersey instead of Sean Elliott at the other forward. Anthony picked up by Duncan on a switch. Now Sabonis. Williams for 3. Walt Williams misses. Little Anthony is in there. Without the Imperials, almost saved it for Portland. Here's Robinson. Out to Ellie. Head fake. Running one-hander. Good.
That's a nice play, though, by Mario Ellie. He gave him the little pump fake, and Anthony went for it. The little escape dribble and that little running, floating shot.
Now some noise at the Alamo Dome. Ellie gets a hand on the pass, breaks it up. Spurs trail by 14. Johnson can't cut into it. And Sabonis protects the rebound. Avery Johnson is 0 for 4.
Well, Anthony is going back and aggressively doubling the post because Avery Johnson's not hitting his shot today. Until he hits it, he's going to go back and get the ball out of the big guy's hands.
Good ball movement. Walt Williams, an unguarded three, but he can't connect. Avery Johnson almost lost it. Duncan covers up for him. Now spins on Wallace. And is fouled. And that's 3 on Wallace. So the good news for Portland, they lead by 14. The bad news, both Grant and Wallace have 3 fouls now.
Rasheed Wallace once again off to a good start. 7 points, 2 rebounds. And he's doing it in a variety of ways. Today, shooting the ball from the perimeter, fades out on David Robinson off the screen roll, hits the jumper. Once again, David runs at him, the escape dribble, the pull-up shot. Then he gets a smaller player against him. Take your time, post up, bury the little jump shot. And in game 1, 12 of 18 from the floor. Look at him, a lot of them in the paint, right side, left side, a variety of different shots that he made. And then today, you can see what he's done. He's taken it out a little bit. He's had the 1 post up, the 2 jump shots. This is the versatility that Rasheed Wallace brings as a big man to this Portland Trailblazer team.
But saddled with 3 fouls, as is Grant. Duncan shooting 2. The Blazers have already shot more free throws in this game than they shot in the entire game in the opener. And they have double the number of steals that they managed in 4 quarters in game 1.
That's their personality. They did not play to their personality in game 1. They are playing that way in game 2. And they like the results right now, but it's still a long way to the finish.
Here's Stoudemire back in. Up to Ryder at midcourt. Sabonis with the much smaller Rose on him. Outside to Jackson, a little touch pass to Cato, who tried to take it to the rack and drew some contact. The foul is on Malik Rose, his first. Friday night, 9 o'clock Eastern. Game 3 of these Western Conference Finals. This time the Trailblazers will be the home team. Showtime precedes it, followed by Game 3. It all starts at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, Friday on NBC. The Trailblazers, regular season and playoffs combined, 27-3 at the Rose Garden. But the Spurs are the best road team in the league, and one of the 3 Portland defeats at home came against San Antonio in the season's final week. Cato couldn't get anything done at the free throw line. Johnson. Well, you know what he told us. I'll just keep shooting. So far, he hasn't been able to hit.
Looks like he's pulling the string a little bit. That's not a confident stroke right now.
He's 0 for 5. Duncan's pass deflected. It winds up in Ryder's hands. Not for long as Malik Rose steals it right back. It's off Rose and out of bounds as he couldn't handle Johnson's pass.
See, we're seeing combinations right now with San Antonio that we don't see much of. You've got Avery Johnson out on the floor right now with Elliot as the guards, but you've got Malik Rose and Kersey together and Duncan as the center. You don't see that team much. Out of sync offensively right now.
Jermaine O'Neal checks in. He wears number 5. 6'11", third-year player who played no college ball, came to the NBA right out of high school. Stoudemire working on Johnson. Sabonis whips it inside to O'Neal, and Jermaine O'Neal puts his name in the scorebook right away.
When Sabonis is playing well, he's like a point guard out there passing the basketball. He sees the floor so well out of the double team. The great pass to O'Neal for the dunk.
Johnson, Kersey, around the perimeter to Ellie. Set shot for 3, no good. Rose, active on the offensive glass. Can't score. O'Neal snatches the rebound. Stoudemire pulls up. O'Neal keeps it alive, and it's deflected away by Elliot and out of bounds. 3 years ago in the '96 draft, another much more heralded high schooler came to the NBA with the 13th pick. That was Kobe Bryant. Jermaine O'Neal came out of Eau Claire High School in South Carolina, taken 4 picks later, the 17th pick of the first round. He's come along as an NBA player more slowly than Kobe Bryant.
Well, he's on a team right now that he has to learn by practice. He doesn't get the time in the game because of the depth of their front line.
Sabonis plods through the lane and an offensive foul. That's his second.
Bob, one of these Spurs guards is going to have to start making some shots. They're 1 of 13 right now, and they're just swarming the big people.
Duncan traveled before he could get rid of the pass.
The minute Duncan or Robinson are catching the ball, they're just running into a quick double team because the Spurs can't make an outside shot right now. That's the importance of being able to stretch. You see, from Portland's standpoint, we've seen Sabonis make some shots, Wallace make some shots. That has opened the inside up for them to get in the lane.
Meanwhile, that was the Spurs' 10th turnover. Sabonis blocked by Duncan. Here's Johnson. On the wing, Elliot. Around the perimeter, Stoudemire. It rattles out, but O'Neal is there, and Duncan fouled him.
Sabonis goes to the basket. The shot is blocked, and this is what we're going to need more of from the San Antonio Spurs for the Spurs fans as they try to catch up in this game. That the early offense and the score, Sean Elliott hits the jump shot. Now they are 2 of 14 from the field, but they're going to need more of that, some deflection, some easy baskets, because right now Portland is just double teaming the post and daring them to make an outside shot.
Change the call on the foul. Mario Ellie was there along with Duncan, and it becomes Ellie's 3rd foul, and Duncan still has but 1.
Tim Duncan has caught the ball 11 times in the post where he's been double teamed, and the Spurs only have 3 points. That talks about their inefficiency. When the ball is kicked out, they're not making any shots.
Avery Johnson with the right hand. He's off again. Duncan battling Sabonis for the rebound, and the foul is on Tim. That's his second.
Frustration setting in a little bit right now for the Spurs. That's a tough shot for Avery Johnson when you're struggling. And then Duncan with a great effort. He does go over the back of Sabonis. Not in the penalty, so ball goes side out of bounds to the Blazers,
who lead by 13. Sabonis head fakes on Duncan. Throws up the hook on the run. It spins out. Malik Rose with the rebound. Jermaine O'Neal was there leaning on him. And the youngster picks up his first. Timeout with 2:59 to play in the half. Portland leading by 13 and using virtually all their troops. Mike Dunleavy has already employed 11 players.
Well, they're swarming right now defensively. You see what's happened is that the Spurs are trying to take everything to the basket. You're seeing 5 black jerseys in there and no place to go because they're shooting so poorly from the perimeter. Malik Rose tries to go up. Jermaine O'Neal with the rebound. And the Blazers are doing it even here. Now watch, you're going to see Stoudemire run over in the double team and force the traveling violation against Tim Duncan. So they're going to have to loosen up this game with some jump shots. And we talked about the hustle stats. Look at the free throw attempts, already more than entire game 1. More offensive rebounds. You see second chance points, points off turnovers. The Blazers right now are just doing it with aggression, and they're wearing them down with 11 different players that we've seen here in the first half.
Malik Rose hits the first. The Spurs, meanwhile, had only 8 turnovers in the entire first game, 10 in the first half here. Partly it's their mistakes, Partly it's forced by greater pressure from Portland's defense.
And I think right now, if you're the Spurs, you're down 11. You say, look, you know, we've played bad basketball. What we have to be able to do is, as Stoudemire gets caught for turning it over, is just work ourselves back. We're okay.
David Robinson has returned. Malik Rose out for the last 2:45 of the half. Avery Johnson, Elliot, Robinson. Sean Elliott off the baseline, forgot the ball. Stoudemire hustling back. Jim Jackson, potentially explosive scorer, who had only 2 in game 1. Sabonis gives it back to him for the layup.
You know, Bob, when I was in Detroit coaching, you have to watch a lot of tape on other teams. I used to love to watch Sabonis play. I said, this guy knows how to play basketball, and he's a beautiful passer.
Avery Johnson into the lane, then back out to Elliot. Looking for Duncan. Reaching in to knock it away is O'Neal, but the foul is on Jermaine O'Neal.
Basketball is a game passing, cutting, passing, cutting. Look, the good give and go, and Jimmy Jackson with the finish. And we haven't even talked hardly about Jimmy Jackson today. Here's a guy who through the years has been a great scorer. At one point in time scored almost 25 points a game for Dallas, had 50 in a game. So he's an explosive guy off the bench also. We've already even talked about him.
Duncan struggling at the line after seeming so comfortable there against the Lakers. Stoudemire between 2 defenders and a whistle. Ball was just knocked out. No foul. Knocked out and touched last by the Spurs. Sabonis beyond the 3-point line. Jackson guarded by Elliot. Throws up a wild shot and a 24-second violation. Greg Popovich's team with a chance to cut it to 10. Duncan, jump hook, won't go. Rebound Sabonis. Stoudemire back in a hurry. Around Sabonis' screen, returns it to him. And he hits it just a step inside the 3-point line. A long 2-pointer for Sabonis. This is a man 7'3" and listed at 292 with the feathery touch of a guy 6'4", 6'5".
Well, you know, he played on the perimeter a lot when he played over in Europe, so he has the feel of playing outside. So when he goes in the post, he can pass, he can post, but also when he sees the basket, sees the floor, he can make beautiful passes.
Sean Elliott had it poked away, picks it back up. Jaren Jackson out of the corner. Rebound tapped out near midcourt, taken by Augment. Misses off the glass. O'Neal was fouled as he tried to go up with the follow. Jermaine O'Neal may not yet be a polished player, but he's brought a lot of energy to this game. Tonight on Dateline, find out just how tough and brave they are. No, not Stone Phillips and Jane Pauley. We're talking about the most exclusive unit in the armed forces, the PJs, experts in rescue and recovery. Dateline NBC tonight, 8 Eastern, 7 Central.
Bob, we talked after game one about Portland, and we said this is a team that when they're at their best, they're pushing that ball up and down the floor and creating early opportunities. That's what we're seeing today. Deflections, rebounding, push it out. They're not playing so much against the half-court defense of the Spurs. It's giving them second shots. It's giving them the free throw line, all the things that we talked about in our open. And they lead by 14.
O'Neal missed them both, however. Robinson drives on O'Neal and was fouled. O'Neal, hands on hips, picks up his third foul and probably has picked up this lesson. No benefit of the doubt for a third-year kid out of high school against one of the 50 greatest players in the NBA.
Well, you think about what's Mike Dunleavy doing right now. He's got Jermaine O'Neal on the floor. He doesn't care if he gets 5 fouls right now. He's got Cato out on the floor because Brian Grant and Rasheed Wallace are in foul trouble. So he's actually buying some time right now, and he's actually extended the lead with these young guys out on the floor.
And of course, when we refer to Robinson as one of the 50 greatest players in the NBA, we don't mean at present, we mean of all time. He was selected to that exclusive list a couple of years ago. 8-time All-Star, 1-time MVP. That was in 1995. The Admiral makes it 46-34. Shot clock and game clock virtually identical.
Remember, if they go high screen roll, Sabonis is a three-point shooter.
Stoudemire deals it off to O'Neal, and Malik Rose pounds him.
You know, Bob, we were standing out before the game today, and Portland ran out on the floor. I said to Damon Stoudemire, I said, you know, good luck today, Damon. And he looked at me and he said something interesting. He says, I'm going to redeem myself today. It's like he's put tremendous pressure on himself to perform. Today, he's breaking the defense down. He's getting inside. Yeah, he's only scored 4 points. He has some turnovers. He's being very aggressive, but he's putting a lot of pressure on himself. And remember, this was a young guy who scored a lot of points in Toronto and still adjusting to a new role here.
O'Neal makes that one. He was just a 51% free throw shooter in limited free throw opportunities during the season.
And you see Stoudemire's minutes are down to 29. He played over 40 in Toronto because Greg Anthony plays a lot in the fourth quarter. In game one, the entire fourth quarter. So what happens with Damon Stoudemire in a lot of situations, he puts a lot of pressure on himself to have a lot of things happen quickly because he knows he's not going to get as many minutes.
O'Neal hit them both that time, back to a 14-point lead. Robinson open. Misses from the head of the key. Jackson trying for the tip. And the first half comes to a close. They knew they needed more from Sabonis. He's already exceeded his contribution in points and assists in half a game when compared to game one, and he's virtually there on the rebounds. Stay tuned for the Prudential Halftime Report. Hannah Storm, Isaiah Thomas, and Peter Bessie from our New York studios. That's coming up next. You're watching.
Ahmad Rashad back at the Alamo Dome where the Trailblazers lead by 14. Early in the first quarter, Isaiah Ryder suffered an injury to his right knee. And I talked to him about it. He just was coming off the pick. He said that his leg locked up on him. He tried to shake it off. He said he kicked it out and it started feeling a little bit better, but it was very strange. He's been bothered by this the rest of the first half. At halftime, he told me the problem is he's never suffered an injury. He doesn't know what this is. He's very tentative on this right knee. He said he's going to try to go with it, but it is something that is bothering him. But as you can see, he's ready to come out and continue in this second half. Bob?
Ahmad, thanks. In the first half, Portland led by as many as 17. The Spurs have never led in the game. They trail by 14 as Johnson brings it to the front court at the start of the third quarter. Duncan trying to find Robinson. Couldn't finish it. Rasheed Wallace with Elliot on him. That's a handful for Elliot defensively. Wallace misses. Grant has the rebound taken from him by Duncan. Mario Ellie finds Sean Elliott. And they give it up with Sabonis stepping in front for the steal. And now some of the 35,000 at the Alamo Dome expressing their displeasure. Sabonis. Yes.
See, Bobby, he's so vital to their team because when you double team back and you help big and you get in the lane like David Robinson is doing, he can make that shot. It just totally spreads the court for them.
Johnson on the drive, and Avery Johnson still can't buy one. Nice move, and it popped out. Stoudemire's shot is clean, however. They get the first 2 buckets of the second half, and San Antonio has to call a timeout, trailing by 18, their biggest deficit.
A set play, they try to throw the little high-low Duncan to Robinson, just a little bit too high. David cannot get his hands off, and it leads to this Portland action here where, once again, out of the double team, as Robinson goes down to double team, the rotation is slow getting to Sabonis. He shoots the jump shot, then miscommunication where Sean Elliott throws the ball behind David Robinson right to Sabonis. That leads then once again to early offense, fast break points as Damon Stoudemire comes down the floor, pulls up and shoots the jump shot. And Portland right now playing in a great rhythm on both ends of the floor.
Mario Ellie running one-hander off the front of the rim. Rebound juggled around a bit, and finally Duncan takes it.
The guy who really is going to have to start playing right now for San Antonio is Sean Elliott. On the perimeter, he can score. They have got to get something from him.
Speak of the devil. There it is. You know, you could coach if you wanted to. I'm not suggesting you do again, but I think you'd be able. Here's Stoudemire. And a whistle from Bob Delaney. Foul away from the ball.
It's the third three-pointer of the game for Sean Elliott. On the penetration, he spots up behind that line and knocks it down. Now, he's gotten off to great starts in both the first and third quarter, and he's sort of taken himself out of the game as he's gone to the bench. They need a full game from him today as they're fighting uphill.
Foul was on Sean Elliott, his second. Rasheed Wallace up to Ryder. Grant against Duncan. Sabonis behind the back to Stoudemire. Sabonis with 4 on the shot clock. Back to Stoudemire. And Grant gives them a new 24.
That was just a relentless rebound. He went up and he just wanted a little bit more than Tim Duncan.
Stoudemire again, feeling it now, wants to shoot it.
Well, he got that jump shot off the steal on the break when Avery Johnson also missed that layup. He got down and got the score, and now he gets that one. So he's playing right now the way he likes to play, coming off those screens.
Elliot, head fake, returns it to Johnson. Avery Johnson hits the jump shot. His first basket, his first points of any kind in this game. He's 1 for 8 from the field. Rasheed Wallace, 5 on the shot clock. Fadeaway jumper. The rebound to Elliott. Running the floor, David Robinson. Plus the foul. Chance for a three-point play. The foul is on Wallace, and that's his 4th.
Now that is very costly because he just grabbed him and he gave him the basket. But David Robinson, one of the best running big men in the league, and the nice pass. And that's the one that Wallace has just got to let go. He grabbed him by the jersey. But see David Robinson, look, I'm struggling to get some baskets here, so I've got to run. And that was one of those fouls that gets Rasheed Wallace in trouble. Those touch fouls, it's his 4th. Now he's going to have to sit down. That'll be a big loss because he was matched up against Sean Elliott, and he had the advantage in the post.
Can't complete the three-point play. Using up a good chunk of the clock here. 4 seconds to shoot. Ryder on the move. The rebound to Duncan. draws a double, finds Johnson, who looks for Robinson but can't find him. On the turnover, back come the Trailblazers. Stoudemire slithering through. J.R. Ryder baseline. Duncan has it. Outlets to Avery Johnson. Mario Ellie lays it in.
It's going to be a great timeout here by Mike Dunleavy. He senses San Antonio is getting some momentum. He wants to stop it right now and talk to his team.
He had an 18-point lead. Now it's 11.
Well, what once was an 18-point lead by Portland is now down to 11, a nice little 9-2 run, and they did it with a nice fast break, getting the ball out in early offense. Mario Ellie with a nice strong finish, and after it was over, as he came out, got a little shoulder by Sabonis, didn't like it. You're going to see right here as he comes out, a little shoulder to shoulder, little grunt there, and he points at the official. Was not happy, and these are the little things that you want to get yourself motivated when you're trying to catch up. These are things that energize, and you can see he was even doing it in the huddle there, trying to get his team fired up.
Ryder just holding the ball.
See, Mike Dunleavy very unhappy. They come out of a timeout with a play and they don't run it.
Stoudemire penetrates. Poked away by Robinson. 3 seconds on the shot clock.
See, Bob, you call a timeout to get a play, to get you something good. They came out, there was confusion. They didn't run it. Mike Dunleavy was not happy with that.
Augman to throw it in. Knocked away and taken away. Ellie for 3. From 18 down to 8 in a matter of moments.
Well, when Sean Elliott hit the 3, it was 52 to 34, so he's giving his team a little burst for that shot.
And Portland loses it as Grant juggles it out of bounds. Johnson pushes it back the other way. Sean Elliott. Mario Ellie. Robinson baseline. Short. Ellie back taps it to Avery Johnson, and they'll set it up again. Avery. They're within 6.
Poise and composure for Portland. This is something they've become proud of with their team. We will see now as San Antonio has got them on their heels.
Grant off balance. Sabonis on the offensive glass has it stripped away. Avery Johnson against Stoudemire. Backs off. Duncan's got room, but doesn't take it. Sean Elliott cuts the lead in half. It's 54-51. They're on a 17-2 run.
This game is so much about energy and emotion. In the first half, it was Portland. Now it's Mario Ellie. He hit the layup. Remember, they went to the timeout. He wasn't happy. He hits the 3. He points over to us like, don't miss that, guys. We're not going anywhere. Then the steal on the loose ball here, the offensive rebound. It looks like Sabonis has it in his hands, and Ellie knocks it away right there and gets it out one more time, and it leads to Sean Elliott, who's hit 2 3-pointers during this stretch. It was 52 to 34 when he hit his first 3, and you can just see the bounce now in the Spurs step, all because they're now making some outside jump shots.
Ellie leads the cheers. Elliott, meanwhile, 4 of 4 on 3s in this game. And hold on, says Danny Crawford. His whistle can barely be heard with the din here. It's on Tim Duncan, and it's his third.
Well, he gets a rip screen in the lane, and he tries to punish the screener. Doesn't even make an attempt to try to get around it. That's a foul every time.
Jim Jackson behind the screen, but there's an offensive foul before the shot, and it's on Grant. He, like Wallace, now has 4.
Now, Jimmy Jackson is in the game, so Ryder's knee must really be bothering him. He came out earlier than he normally does. See the moving screen, that's an excellent call. Brian Grant moves, and the foul trouble. Remember we talked in game 1 how vital it was for Wallace and Grant to stay out of foul trouble. Well, now both of them are in foul trouble with 4.
That brings Jermaine O'Neal off the bench. Here's Johnson. Up high, Robinson. Way short. Stoudemire has it. Sabonis lets fly. Augmon keeps it alive. Stoudemire turns to glance at Mike Dunleavy on the Portland bench. Augmon into the lane. 6 on the shot clock. Knocked away from Sabonis to Augmon, and he was fouled, and that's a gift maybe. Ellie has to raise his hand. It was just about a tick left on the 24-second clock, and Ellie picked up his 4th foul.
What you're seeing right now with Portland is their 2 best low post players are out of the game with fouls. Rasheed Wallace has fouls, and Ryder has a sore knee. So where they normally come down, Bob, and go in the post, spread you out and get something, they don't have that right now, so they're searching desperately to find some offense.
Would Mario Ellie have been a great silent film star or what? He can express such emotion with that face of his.
He can also be a little grumpy with that voice of his, too. He lets his guys know when he's not happy with them. Very unhappy because he was playing good basketball. He was a major part of the surge, gave them energy, and doesn't want to have to sit down now.
Augmon gives the Trailblazers 2 points they desperately needed.
And I think this is a very good timeout because Popovich does not want his team to get too excited. They're back in the game. Just take your time. What shooting does to get you back into the game. Remember now, the backcourt was a combined 1 of 14 in that first half. Could not make a basket. No freedom for the big men. Well, Mario Ellie spots up behind the 3 and buries one. Avery Johnson, who was 0 for 6 in the first half, hits a jumper. And then Ellie with 2 threes during that little run that got them back into the game. So now the game is opened up. You see more confidence from the perimeter of San Antonio. Let's see if that opens it up for Duncan and Robinson inside.
Tim Duncan, his pass intended for Robinson, broken up. Spilling to the floor is Jermaine O'Neal to bat it over to Augmon. Nice play.
And Tim Duncan did not read the weak side defense that time. Was looking right at David Robinson. The weak side defender got a deflection.
Blazers up by 5. Jackson around the Sabonis screen. Robinson takes him on a switch. He gives it back to Arvydas, who was fouled.
Well, that was a great pass by Jimmy Jackson. They got the switch, and they had David Robinson playing him. It looked like he was going to pull up and shoot the jump shot. And at the last moment, he saw that Jaren Jackson was behind Sabonis inside. He drops it down to him for 2 free throws.
One more coming. Coverage of the French Open continues this Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. We'll bring you coverage of the men's semifinals in the grueling Grand Slam test. The French Open continuing Friday on NBC. Sabonis gives the Blazers a bit of breathing room. They're up by 7. Duncan draws the double team. Johnson cuts to the basket. And Robinson finishes it.
Well, even though he missed it, Sabonis tried to block the shot, and nobody blocked David Robinson off. So that's a good play by Avery Johnson just to get the ball on the rim.
Stoudemire's jumper is there. Damon Stoudemire now with 10 points. Avery Johnson to Elliot. Now Duncan. Jump hook good. Those are the first points Tim Duncan has scored in the third quarter. So the Spurs have made this run without their main man. Stoudemire again. Does he feel it or what?
Well, he's capable of having a big quarter, as we're seeing right now. He loves to run that screen roll. That was his pet play in Toronto. We've seen it 3 times in this quarter, and he's hit every shot.
Avery Johnson tries to answer and can't. Stoudemire takes the rebound. He's all over the place. Around Sabonis' screen. Johnson's right with him. In the lane, Jermaine O'Neal finds Sabonis. It rattles out. Loose ball out of bounds. And it will belong to San Antonio.
Bob, when you trail by 18 and you make a big emotional surge and you get it to 3, as we see Kerr into the game, you have to fight through that next little surge because you have a tendency to flatten out a little bit. Portland now has sort of been able to sort of get back the little momentum. Now San Antonio needs another thrust if they're going to win this game.
Robinson also out, replaced by Malik Rose. Duncan spinning on O'Neal. Coming in to strip him of the ball is Jimmy Jackson, but he fouled him. Look at Dunleavy. His assistant's trying to shield him from the official before he's hit with a tee.
Jimmy Jackson's going to come in on the double team from behind. He spins right into him, and he just knocks the ball out of his hands. That's a bad call. Mike Dunleavy has a right to be upset. Bob, I've always said that when you strip down at the basketball, if the ball goes down, that means you hit ball. If you hit arm, that means it pops up. That ball went down.
Steve Kerr guarded by Stoudemire. And a whistle from Ron Garretson. That's 4 on Jermaine O'Neal. The Blazers scored 31 points in the first quarter. They scored 31 points since. 62-55 with 1:43 to play in the third.
You see Tim Duncan in game 1, minutes and points at half, and only 7 points in the first half. He had a big second half with 14. He played the entire second half, did not come out, played 47 minutes in the game, but Tim Duncan struggling at the free throw line, and he missed both of them.
However, Stoudemire goes stumbling out of bounds with the loose ball, and the Spurs get it back. But Duncan is just 5 of 10 on his free throws today.
And this is the same guy who made 82% against the Lakers.
Duncan returns it to Elliot. Hot from three-point territory, but doesn't take this one. Steve Kerr will. Still without a postseason basket this year. Elliot. His first miss from beyond the arc. Stoudemire. Doesn't stay hot. Rebound battle and a foul.
Sean Elliott is so upset at himself here. That 3 makes it a 4-point game. Now Portland's going to go to the free throw line on the loose ball foul,
which is on Jaren Jackson, his third. Sabonis shoots 2. He's 34 years old. This is his 4th NBA season.
Now, he has played very well versus the Spurs this year. He's been their leading scorer at 17.5 points a game in the regular season series. Game 1 was an aberration, 5 and 6 rebounds. He just didn't have his legs. Today, you see the Sabonis that the Spurs saw in the regular season.
Jermaine O'Neal out. Kelvin Cato in for the Trailblazers. Duncan against Cato. Bumps him off and hits the hook.
See what's happened, though? You've got three-point shooters on the floor right now. Kerr, even though he's not hitting, Jackson and Elliot, so he's getting one-on-one coverage.
Stoudemire around Kerr to the baseline. Almost lost it, regains control. 2 seconds to shoot, and Sabonis hits a huge shot against the clock.
Oh.
They're in front by 9 again. And a foul.
So close to a shot clock violation. It looks like the Spurs are going to have a great stop, and the awareness of Sabonis to catch the ball. He actually gets fouled on this. Watch this as he goes up, and he just muscles the shot in to push it back to a 9-point lead. Shakes his head. Even he knows that was a pretty lucky shot.
The foul a moment ago was on Cato, his second. Sabonis is the game's high scorer with 17. And Duncan is now 5 for 11 at the foul line.
I don't care how good you are. This game is all about confidence. And right now, Tim Duncan has lost confidence at the free throw line. You can see it in his body, the way he goes up there. He's a little hesitant. It's not the same delivery.
1 of 2. Walt Williams, 3-point threat, guarded by Malik Rose. And a foul. That'll be 3 on Rose.
That's not a good foul. Malik Rose is out on the floor. He does not have the quickness to play against the Walt Williams. You got to back off of him, give him a little space. Right now, Portland, through this period of time, Bob, has been able to keep their lead by getting to the free throw line. Sabonis has been there. We've seen Walt Williams there. They're walking up and making their free throws.
Not that time. Look how often Portland got to the free throw line in the last 4 games of their series against Utah. Then just 9 free throw attempts in game 1 of this series.
It was all about aggression, though. They weren't driving the ball at the basket. Now they are challenging Robinson and Duncan and getting some fouls as they go to the basket.
And today they're 18 of 26 through 3 quarters. Elliot on the move, beats the horn and scores. They still got 3.5 seconds. Sean Elliott with 16 points. Augman to the front court, and that'll do it. 35,260. Await the final 12 minutes of regulation. Their Spurs down by 7 after trailing by 18. Back after these words from your local station. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any retransmission, reproduction, rebroadcast, or other dissemination or use of this telecast, or of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game, without the express written consent of the National Basketball Association, is prohibited.
Damon Stoudemire had a very good third quarter. Now, Ryder had an injured knee. He sat down. Wallace, Grant, 4 fouls. They sat down. He picked up the offense for them. They were searching, and he gave them early offense with the jump shot. Then he goes that screen roll play again. That's his pet play that he loves. He sort of sneaks and hides behind that screen and buries it. And then once again, the high screen roll, he knocks it in. And he talked about redeeming himself today. Well, he's 6 of 12 from the floor. He's got 12 points, and he was very big in that third quarter as the Spurs made that push, cut the lead from 18 to 3, and he gave them a little cushion. Now the interesting thing is he does not play much in the fourth quarter. Greg Anthony is their defender. He's the guy that helped them in the fourth quarter. So now it'll be interesting to see if Anthony finishes up or if Mike Dunleavy goes back to Stoudemire because he's playing well today.
It's Anthony with the ball, guarded by Steve Kerr, who today has seen his first action since the first round against Minnesota. Williams guarded by Kersey. His jumper is good.
That guy's a shooter. You've got to step out on that screen, and David Robinson didn't get out there, and Jerome Kersey's upset. He said, you got to get up on the shooter.
Kersey drives, misses off the glass. Duncan follows. $18 for Duncan, who despite his difficulties at the foul line is now the game's high scorer. Rasheed Wallace with a hand in his face connects.
Well, this Portland team comes at you from a lot of different ways. I mean, Walt Williams off a screen with a jumper. And we see Rasheed Wallace right off the bench with fouls, the post up in the score.
9 for Wallace, who had 28 in the opener. Duncan back to Kerr. His three. Still shut out from the field in this postseason.
He still has to keep shooting, though. If they're going to leave him, he's still got to be a threat.
Jim Jackson is off.
Bob, if Steve Kerr doesn't continue to look to shoot, he becomes a liability out there, though. So he's going to give you spacing just because you're going to respect him.
Duncan, with 3 defenders around him, is fouled. It's Cato's third. Antonio Daniels did not impress off the bench in game 1. Avery Johnson has shot 2 for 11 in this game, so Steve Kerr has been called upon. He's 0 for 4 so far, though. Duncan, jump hook good.
Great spacing and a great look by Jaren Jackson. It looked like he was caught with the ball. Bob didn't know where to go. At the last moment, found Duncan,
who has scored 20.
Offensive foul on Cato, a moving screen. Now we've seen 2 of these.
And he has 4 fouls now.
Tim Duncan is coming to life here in the second half. He follows up the missed shot by Kersey and the offensive rebound, the little jump hook. And then moments ago, the good post position, flashes from that weak side. Now Kelvin Cato's a shot blocker. He lays behind him, too deep and too late.
When we come back, the Spurs will have the ball, down by 7. Four Trailblazers have 4 fouls. Only Ellie has as many for San Antonio. 9:45 remaining. Tim Duncan back to Kerr. Fires another 3. 0 for 5.
See, they're gambling that Kerr is not going to make that jump shot. Greg Anthony's going right back in the post and double teaming. You see Avery Johnson on the bench ready to check in. But again, Bob, Steve Kerr has got to take that shot. He has to shoot it. That shot was in and out. He's the kind of guy that he makes 1, he might make 4 in a row.
Loose ball foul on Jerome Kersey was his second. Kerr guarding Anthony. Walt Williams, 5 on the shot clock. Williams drives, tries the up and under, and hits only the underside of the backboard. Portland ball with 2 seconds on the shot clock. Looking for the quick catch and shoot. Into Grant, turnaround, got it. A high arcer over Duncan's defense.
We have to remember that shot right there. It looks like it's going to be a violation And Bryant Grant makes a big shot to push the lead back to 9. That's a big, big basket for Portland.
And a tough hoop it was. Kerr again from Duncan. Anthony gets up on him. They play their game of catch. Here's Kersey now marauding down the lane, and a whistle. A Portland foul as we look back at the basket a moment ago by Grant.
Little baskets continue to give you the momentum, and Bryant Grant flashes to the basket, hits a tough shot over Tim Duncan. Instead of San Antonio having the ball down 7 with a chance to cut it to 5, he pushes the lead back to 9.
Kerr has gone out. Avery Johnson returns. Kersey misses after the foul by Walt Williams. Kerr averaged more than 20 minutes a game in the finals last year for Chicago against Utah. Obviously a very important part of championship teams there.
Well, he gives them a dimension to shooting that they've needed today. He just has not been able to make his open shots.
Walt Williams for 3. Duncan takes it as it was way short. David Robinson. Around the perimeter, Avery Johnson. What did he tell us? I'll just keep shooting them. They dare me to make them. I'll keep shooting them. You got to look at Damon Stoudemire on the Portland bench. He's the guy who said a couple of years ago, Avery Johnson will never take a team to a title, and declined to retract that disparaging remark prior to this series. Here's Williams laying it off to Wallace, who is short with his jumper, but he gets his own rebound.
Second shots normally mean 2 points.
Grant, fade away on Duncan. Spurs trail by 6. Johnson to the basket. He took it right into the heart of Portland's defense and almost had no shot there. Here's Williams. And a foul on the rebound. It's against Portland. Now Stoudemire, who has not often played in the fourth quarter, is going to come back in for Anthony.
See, I think this is a great substitution by Mike Dunleavy because Stoudemire is playing well. And in game 1, Anthony played great in the fourth quarter. He stayed with him. Stoudemire was terrific in the third quarter. You bring him back. And I don't think you're going to lose that much right now defensively as much as you're going to need him to make some shots for you.
The foul was on Walt Williams a moment ago, his second. Timeout, 7:07 left.
Greg Anthony will go back and double team. Avery Johnson cuts all the way through, and sometimes it's 1, 2, boom, and sometimes you get to finish what you start. Avery Johnson is the passer, out of the double team, swing, swing. You can't get back across, and Avery Johnson knocking the little 17-footer down on the baseline. Avery Johnson struggled in that first half, and Bobby said, just keep taking shots, and he's doing it. And he's been almost perfect in the playoffs. He missed 1 shot in the fourth quarter of game 1. Other than that, he's been perfect in the fourth quarter shooting throughout the entire series.
He shot better than 50% in the first 2 rounds. They almost lost it. Then he shot 4 for 12, speaking of Johnson in game 1. Here he is. Spins out.
David Robinson is playing Wallace,
who tests him and can't get anything that even resembles a shot. Back comes Jaren Jackson. The bounce to Duncan, who juggles, recovers, scores, plus the foul.
Tim Duncan ran the floor that time like he's a guard. He was not going to be denied. right through the middle of the floor, right to the strong side post. He gets great position. You see him seal Rasheed Wallace. He fumbles the pass initially, goes up strong, and finishes it. Tim Duncan, to me, is the most complete player in the game today. He can beat you inside, outside. He runs, and look at the emotion. Look at the eyes.
And this time he hits the foul shot. Completing the three-point play after the foul on Walt Williams. This is as close as the Spurs have ever been. They trail by 3 again. Wallace lost it. Elliot is there to pick it up. They can tie with a 3. Kersey poked away from him, and Grant recovers.
Jerome Kersey's got to be careful to try to do too much right now, Bob. He's a role player.
Grant shaking his left hand or wrist.
Mike Dunleavy says, do you need a timeout? Do you want me to take a timeout? And he said, no, I'm okay. But the respect that the Spurs have for Rasheed Wallace, they have David Robinson on him after he torched him for 28, a lot of it against Tim Duncan. So Robinson has been called upon him to defend him in the fourth quarter.
Stoudemire slings it up to Wallace from 20. Kersey takes it on a bounce. Robinson, 1-point game.
And you see Mike Dunleavy look at his team say, just be poised, just be composed.
Jim Jackson left unguarded. Huge hoop. A three-pointer that boosts it back to 4 at 76-72. Duncan doubled. Finds Avery Johnson, who brings it back up top to Mario Elliott. Now Jerome Kersey. Stoudemire takes it.
Sean Elliott has been waiting to come in for Jerome Kersey. There's been no stoppage of play.
Jackson spins and lays it in.
See, now they get Jim Jackson as insurance for Isaiah Ryder, and he's giving it today. 5 quick points by Jimmy Jackson here. Again, they fought off the Spurs, their little run. Jimmy Jackson spots up in the corner, and he knocks down the 3. And then he follows it up. Once again, you see him with the early offense, the quick post up. Jimmy Jackson with a layup, 5 quick points. The lead goes back to 6. San Antonio says, timeout.
Spurs have never led. Last time the game was tied, it was 10-all in the first quarter. They got within 1 a moment ago. Then Jimmy Jackson stuck a 3, hit a driving layup. It's the Blazers by half a dozen.
Sometimes when you're down big, as the Spurs were by 18, you get close and you never get over the top. They've got to within 1. They have not been able to get the lead. Portland psychologically has fought them off.
Avery Johnson finds Duncan. His jumper is short. And it's Jackson now grabbing it underneath. Clock ticking down toward 4 minutes. Ryan Grant, guarded by Duncan, in the lane. Duncan got a piece of it. Picked up by Avery Johnson. The pass from Mario Elliott is intercepted by Walt Williams.
Well, that's 2 bad possessions for San Antonio out of the timeout. Duncan shoots an air ball, and Avery Johnson really with an unforced turnover. They lose a minute on the clock, still down 6.
Here's Stoudemire finding Wallace, who's open. Rasheed Wallace makes it an 8-point lead for the Trailblazers.
All by Damon Stoudemire getting in the lane and causing that defense to collapse. And again, once again, the ability of the Portland big men to shoot it.
Avery Johnson needs it and has it. Exactly 3 minutes left. Stoudemire turns the corner, finds Wallace again, and that combination works once more.
That penetration again, Bob, it just forces the defense inside. Now it's Wallace being matched up against Robinson. He's the one hitting the outside jump shots.
Every possession vital now for San Antonio. Ellie to the basket. Goaltending will be called on Rasheed Wallace and score the basket for Mario Ellie.
So that's the emotion that Rasheed Wallace has got to leave alone. That was a goaltend, no question about it. Once the ball is this far out of your hands and you're this far underneath the basket, that's going to be a goaltend. High screen roll once again. Got to make them stop it.
Jimmy Jackson looking for Grant. Duncan on him. 4 seconds to shoot. And a whistle from Danny Crawford. That's 4 on Duncan.
See, that gives you a new 24-second shot clock. So at this stage of the game, you're up 6 points. You get the ball down here. You can use almost 40 seconds up off the clock before you shoot the ball. That's how that foul hurt you with the reset.
And there's an immediate foul on the inbound. This one's on Robinson, only his second.
When your big men can shoot the basketball, it really hurts because you see in penetration, David Robinson and Duncan both track the ball. That's going to leave Wallace for the open jump shot. Then he follows it up with one more.
Spurs, an excellent defensive team, needs stops now on almost every Portland possession. Stoudemire. Oh, a tough basket for Damon Stoudemire.
Well, he is redeeming himself today. Not that he played that poorly. He didn't score in game 1. 8 assists, no turnovers, but big baskets today.
He's got 14. Avery Johnson hits his second in a row. But Portland is happy to trade baskets.
That's an excellent call. They've got to get some stops here. Portland knows that if they're going to come down, they've got the ball in Stoudemire's hands. You've got good free throw shooters on the team. Use some clock and get a good shot.
Stoudemire again. Not this time. And there's still time for San Antonio. Avery Johnson. Short. Into the hands of Jimmy Jackson.
Looked like he never had that ball. Looked like it slipped out. He sort of kicked at the end to try to get something on it. That shot was flat all the way.
Johnson has shot 5 for 17. Stoudemire slithers through and then lost it. It was knocked away and touched last by Portland. Timeout Spurs, 1:06 left.
Stoudemire told me before the game, I love to penetrate and get in the lane and draw people. Well, he did it, and he dished back to Rasheed Wallace, who's hit 2 big jump shots in the 4th quarter, and then he does it himself. High screen roll once again. That little herky-jerky dribble, the fadeaway, and the jump shot. And Greg Anthony, who normally plays in the 4th quarter, says, Damon, I'm not playing today, but I'm still with you.
Damon Stoudemire talked before this game about redemption. That may be a bit melodramatic, but he hadn't contributed all that much in their series clinching win in Game 6 against Utah or their Game 1 loss to the Spurs here on Saturday. He did have 8 assists, though, in Game 1 of this series. Today he has 7 assists to go with 14 points, but look at the last number.
That's the number that concerns Mike Dunleavy, the turnovers. He doesn't want Damon to fall in love with the 14 points and not realize the 7 turnovers is not something he wants to see from him.
Avery Johnson now out to Elliot. He guns a 3, and there it is. It's his 5th 3 of the game and brings them to within 3.
Now they got 2 possessions, so they don't need to foul. They just need good, solid defense.
Elliot on Jackson. Runs him into a Wallace screen. Then bounces it back to Rasheed. Shot clock down to 5. Pass deflected and stolen. They ping it ahead to Mario Ellie. And he's fouled on the play by Walt Williams with 33.3 on the clock.
Sean Elliott has hit big threes all day long. You're down 6. You're under a minute, and he hits a big 3. Walt Williams gives him space. You got to get up and crowd him and make him put it on the floor. The steal, the deflection by David Robinson. They throw ahead to Ellie, who says, one thing, I'm going to the basket. Now remember, it's a terrific free throw shooter. He gets the first one. It's now a 2-point game. Bobby makes the next one. It's a 1-point game, 33 seconds. Solid defense, you get the ball to score. So right now, the last 33 seconds going to be crucial. Can Portland get a hoop?
87% free throw shooter. Makes them both. Although he needed a friendly roll on the second one. We'll be back after these messages and a word from your local station. There is the basic arithmetic, but these numbers are important also. Each team has 2 full timeouts remaining. Neither has a 20. San Antonio has a foul to give.
Yeah, Bob, you have to be careful taking that foul. There's a 9.3 discrepancy between game and shot clock. You take that inside 24, they get a new reset, then you have to foul. So you don't want to foul unless it's absolutely necessary where you're giving up a layup and you have to take the foul.
Stoudemire, Johnson watching him. Wallace screening. Stoudemire takes the jumper, misses it off the back iron. Rebound battle, and it's won by Portland. A huge rebound.
Now they have to foul right now because they've got one to give. They got to foul immediately. I don't know why they're not fouling.
Now Elliot reaches in and grabs Jackson, but Walt Williams grabbed one of the biggest rebounds of his entire career a moment ago.
See, that's what happens inside the 24. Now you have to take the foul. Great hustle play that time by Walt Williams. Here's a guy who comes off the bench that's played the entire fourth quarter. They take the foul. Now they have the ball sideline out of bounds, 12.6, and they're going to have to foul immediately. You'd like to get it into a bad free throw shooter's hand.
Well, it's Stoudemire who catches it, and he's fouled. Stoudemire 73% for the season, and just about that in the playoffs, 72%. 11.7 on the clock. Stoudemire spoke of redemption. The 14 points are nice. He'll have no redemption if he doesn't do it here at the foul line with the game on the line. No. Anthony, who usually would be in these situations, watching from the bench. Stoudemire has had a big fourth quarter, but missed the first. A 2-point lead. They actually put 0.3 of a second back on the clock. A moment ago it read 11.7. Now it's an even 12 seconds. Timeout Spurs. They trail by 2.
Well, Damon Stoudemire's upset that he didn't get them both, but he does get one to make it a 2-point game. So a 2 ties, a 3 beats you. And Greg Anthony is going to meet him at the bench as he comes over. He's happy that second one goes in. They're trying to take away the home court advantage.
Game 3 of this series, Rose Garden in Portland, Friday night, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, preceded by an abbreviated showtime. Tomorrow night on TNT, Game 2 from Market Square Arena, Knicks and Pacers. New York coming in and stealing Game 1 yesterday.
Okay, Bob, strategy. Strategy now if you're San Antonio. A 2 gets you into overtime. So you're saying, we've got to get this game into overtime. Now, do you shoot a 3? Absolutely. If it presents itself, you got a good shooter, you take it. But you're thinking about getting this game into overtime right now. That's your number one thought.
Well, Steve Kerr has come back in, so if the 3 presents itself, they'll want him to take it, even though he's missed all 5 shots he's taken from the floor in this game.
Well, also what it does is it makes the defender stay home on him and guard him, which gives somebody else room to work.
Ellie will throw it in. Duncan, Elliot, Robinson, and Kerr on the floor. Delay of game. Into Sean Elliott. He fires the 3 and hits it! His 6th of the game!
What a shot! Bob, it looked like he was going to step out of bounds. He caught it and tight-roped the sideline. What a shot!
Man, that's the shot you take with the clock running out, not with 9 seconds left.
That fooled me. I didn't think they would shoot a 3 right there. And he was actually covered pretty well. The man went for the steal. Bob, it's the closest 3 you take on that sideline, and it's also the easiest place to step out of bounds. Watch his feet. He gathered himself and buried the 3. Sean Elliott. That all started. Remember when they were down 18 in the 3rd quarter, we said Sean Elliott's got to make some shots. Well, he has made them. And look at this. Ogman goes for the steal. Rasheed Wallace, a hand in the face. He didn't even see the basket.
Sean Elliott, 6 of 7 on 3-pointers in this game. 22 points overall.
This would be a absolutely heart-wrenching loss for Portland. They have really dominated this game from start to finish. If San Antonio steals this game, it will be devastating for the Blazers.
The Portland Trail Blazers have never trailed in this game until now. San Antonio's first lead comes after 47 minutes and 51 seconds. One more look at a nearly unbelievable shot.
Bob, I thought he was going to step out of bounds. Look at his feet here. It looks like he's falling out of bounds. And he gathers himself. His heels actually are out of bounds, but they don't touch the line because they're off the ground. His toes are in bounds. His heels are out of bounds, but they don't touch. Look at this. And Wallace made a great effort to get there.
Man.
Now do you go to high screen roll and see if Wallace can step back and shoot the shot?
Walt Williams will throw it in. They've got Grant, Wallace, Stoudemire, and Jackson on the floor. And the Spurs take the delay of game. Here's Jackson, spinning on Elliott, who got a hand on it. Williams picks it up. His fadeaway, no good off the glass. Avery Johnson slaps at it, and time expires. San Antonio's only lead is the final score.
Jimmy Jackson went over to Danny Crawford and he said, you know what, I was fouled on on that shot. When I drove to the basket, that was a foul. David Robinson came over. They smothered him. The ball was knocked loose. Walt Williams had a good look at it, but he had to hurry it. And San Antonio gets out of there. They stole this game today. But Bob, let's watch again here. Jimmy Jackson's going to drive baseline. Here comes David Robinson. Elliot gets a hand. Williams tries to kiss it in. The ball goes loose. And a heart-wrenching loss for the Blazers as they are now down 2 games to none.
Let's go to Ahmad, who is with Sean Elliott.
All right, thanks, Bob. Sean, this was a game. Portland led the entire time. You guys did not match their intensity in the first half. You trailed by 17. You kept your composure and kept coming back.
We just keep grinding it out. That's been our trademark the whole year. Even if we get down, we just keep grinding and grinding and grinding away. And we knew we were down by 6 with a minute or so left. We knew we were going to get some stops.
The confidence never seemed to waver, even though you did trail by a lot.
No, because we win all the close games. We just have a lot of composure coming down the stretch. Like I said, we help each other out on defense. We get key stops, and we have a lot of people come through for us.
Did you feel the need that you were going to have to score some points from the outside coming in the second half? From yourself?
I just felt good. My jumper felt good, and I was getting good passes, and I was getting some shots in rhythm, so they were easy shots for me.
All right, congratulations, man.
All right, thanks.
All right, back to you, Bob.
Ahmad, thanks. Exhilaration in San Antonio, devastation in Portland. They must now try to win 4 out of 5 against a team that hasn't lost as many as 2 in a row in 3 months. And a team, speaking of San Antonio, that has the best road record in the league as they head to Portland for games 3 and 4 with a 2-0 lead and a leg up on a trip to the NBA Finals. The final score, San Antonio 86, Portland 85. For those of you in the Eastern and Central time zones, we take you directly now to an all-new Dateline NBC. For those of you in the Mountain and Western time zones, stay tuned for local programming. For Doug Collins and Ahmad Rashad, I'm Bob Costas. This has been the NBA on NBC.